So there's a few rules that renters are told to never break. But I've made all these renter-friendly upgrades and I haven't lost my security deposit once. Who am I and what do I know? My name is Nidra and I'm a millennial renter. I've been married for 21 years, we've moved 13 times, lived in 12 apartments and 1 house. So I've learned a thing or two about renting. The first renter-friendly upgrade that is super controversial is painting. This is probably the one renter-friendly upgrade that I do the most. It can transform your space super quick. How do I get my landlords to allow me to paint? First of all, I do tend to steer clear of apartment complexes. A, I prefer more character than they can offer, but B, I also feel like landlords are way more willing to let you paint and to make upgrades when they're a private landlord over a complex where there's just tons of rules and maintenance people and you're not really ever dealing with a direct landlord. Having said that, if you do live in a complex, I feel like there's probably ways that you could get around this. A, if you're gonna stay for a long period of time, I think you could probably talk to them and they would let you paint, and then upon moving out, they're gonna have to paint the apartment anyway. So I say just stick to colors that aren't all that dark. And you could either ask them for the paint and then you just repaint it before you go, or I have a feeling they may not even, make you do that if you've been living there for long enough. Now, if you're somebody who's not going to stay for any length of time, I don't know that I would go through all of that. But if you're really planning to be there for quite some time, then I think that would be totally fine. But for me personally, I like to stick to private landlords. And as soon as I'm going to the apartment to, like you're seeing an apartment for the first time, if I feel like, oh, we might actually want this apartment, I will ask them right then and there, like, what is the plan for painting? Are you planning to paint when these people move out of here? And a lot of times they are. And then at that point, I just ask them, like, listen, my husband and I love to paint. These are paint swatches. I would probably want to paint one of these colors. Are you okay if we paint the apartment, and are you okay with these colors? I've never had anybody say no to that. And a lot of times they'll even pay for it. So they would have had to pay a professional to come in and do this, or they would have had to waste time of their own to do it. So as long as I'm not asking to color drench the walls or do something that's obnoxious. You want to stick to something that's somewhat neutral, but still has some personality. And they can tell when you give somebody paint swatches if you have taste or if you're way off base. So just make sure that you're not doing anything crazy. And I don't think you're going to have a problem with your landlord agreeing to let you paint. Another thing that we've been able to do is also paint a bathroom vanity, just simple things like that. Even if there was nothing wrong with the vanity, I just was like, oh, you know what? I want to redo my bathroom. And I put together a little mood board, which for me, that's like being a kid in a candy store. It's not a big deal to throw a mood board together. So that's what I would do. This is what I'm thinking. It does mean I would have to paint the vanity. Are you okay with this? And literally my landlord was like, oh my gosh, I don't care. Do whatever you want. So I feel like if you've made changes to the apartment and it looks good, then your landlord is a lot more willing to just give you free rein. The second alteration that a lot of people say is not renter friendly is putting holes in the walls. Ever since I started renting, I have always put holes in my walls, whether I was hanging photos, whether I was hanging shelving. I have never once had my landlord ask me to fill those holes, to be perfectly honest with you. I think if you're abusing it, just putting random holes everywhere, I mean, otherwise I don't think it's going to be a problem. Now you could fill the holes. I've never had to actually do that, but you certainly could. And I like this. I filled holes while I'm living somewhere just to move things around, honestly. But it's like a pink, I forget what it's called, but I'll link it in the description box below. And there's you fill in the holes with putty or something and it's pink. And then as it dries, it turns white. And then you can just sand and put up, the paint color that's there. And that's super easy. It's something small that you can keep on hand. So I will link it below. And then also they have these touch-up paint pens. I can link these below. I have 2 different ones. Right now I'm using these ones. I haven't needed these ones yet, but you just fill these with paint and I think they stay good for 2 years in here. So I have trim paint in here. I have the one I used for the vanity. So that's just a nice option, especially if you're moving out and you're in a rush so you don't have to pull out a whole gallon of paint. You can just pull out the little touch-up pens and it'll be done in no time. Upon moving out, I've asked my landlord if they wanted me to fill the holes in, and I've never had anybody say, we want you to fill those in. If anything, they're like, we have to paint anyway, and they have somebody come in and they do all of that. What I will say is I have a feeling a lot of times too, they just do nothing because I don't actually pull the nails out. I just leave the nails there. If somebody's come in to see the apartment and it's got all of my stuff in it, I'm just assuming that if they don't really know what they're doing with home decor, maybe they're getting inspiration. Maybe they want to hang something above the couch as well. And usually mine, of course, would be centered and everything. So I just feel like if you just leave the nails there, a lot of times people will just want to use it instead of have to put something else up. So that's another thing. I don't know if the landlords are just leaving them there or if they're filling them. I'm not really sure, but I've just never had to do it myself. Now, something like a gallery wall, you could fill those holes if you want, like assuming that maybe somebody doesn't want that many pictures hanging there. Or another option as well, if you really don't want to put holes in your walls, is I really do love mixed tiles. I do have mixed tiles in my house and they do come on and off the wall really easily. So I've moved it around a few times. And in the one area, they were up for probably 2 years and it didn't pull any paint off. So that's definitely a renter-friendly option if you, in fact, do not want to put holes in your walls. And then the last renter-friendly upgrade that we have made, especially recently, is changing out fixtures. So we'll change out light fixtures. We'll also change out things like the faucets or shower heads. And this is definitely something that you can be reimbursed for. Light fixtures, I haven't even asked to be reimbursed for because I fully intend on just taking them down and putting up the one that was there when I got here. But as far as like a faucet, especially if you can find anything wrong with the faucet that's there, it's going to be a lot easier to get reimbursed. You could ask for them to fix it, but at the same time, I tend to just look for something that's not super expensive that I like, and then I'll just write my landlord and say, hey, I found this faucet. Ours has been leaking. My husband is able to switch it out. Do you mind if I purchase this faucet and then we deduct it from the rent? They usually say, yes, it's not a big deal, and we just switch out the faucet. Also, I switched out our shower head, and my landlord just so happened to come over, and it was like sitting next to the shower, and he asked about it, and I just said, yeah, I wanted to switch it out because it's hard to clean the shower doors without a sprayer or a shower head that I can pull down. And he was literally like, you should not be paying for that. And so he had us deduct that from the rent as well. So I feel like if you have a decent landlord, he's going to appreciate the fact that you care about the apartment and he's going to want you to stay. So, and if making these little changes is what makes you happy, it's beneficial to him, it's beneficial to you, and it's really not a big deal. So those were some of the changes that I've made as a long-term millennial renter. I hope that this was helpful for you. And the whole point here is if you're a renter, you don't have to like suffer in your space. You can make changes to it. You can love where you live. You just kind of have to be smart about it. If you have any renter-friendly hacks or renter-friendly upgrades that you've made to your spaces, please share them in the comments below. If you found this video at all helpful, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. But at least liking my video is going to help YouTube to show it to more people. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. The first renter-friendly upgrade that is super controversial is painting. Am I saying controversial? Controversial. But I've done all of these renter-friendly upgrades and I haven't lost my security. Oh gosh, okay. But I've made all of these, oh, there's a fly in here. A few. No, I think it's just one. My name is Nidra. Oh, I just hit my mic. A nail hole in my personal